Welcome to In Conversation with Kashmir Times. Our guest today is Mr. Justice Syed Manzoor Hussain Gillani, former Chief Justice of AJK High Court and Supreme Court in Pakistan Administered Kashmir. Before that, he has also been the Advocate General. He was an elected member of Muzaffarabad Municipal Corporation. He has chaired legal and zakat committees, and he has authored 5 books, including his own autobiography. Besides that, he has also been the Vice Chancellor of AJK University and Chief Election Commissioner of AJK. He has had a distinguished career as a legal expert, and he has played a leading role in civic engagement, and his entire journey is extremely interesting. And let's begin from the very beginning. Welcome, Justice Gillani.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much for taking me online. It is so pleasant, so pleasure to be with you.
So let's begin from right from the very beginnings of your journey. You were born in 1945 in Karnah, and you received your law degree from Aligarh Muslim University in 1970. And after this degree, you came back to Kashmir, and then you migrated to Pakistan administered Kashmir. So can you talk about that journey? First of all, starting from the journey from Karnah to Aligarh. And Karnah, and you're talking about 1970, it was, I mean, you must have gone in 1960s. It still is a very backward area. It was extremely backward back then and in the peripheries. So how did you make it from this tiny village to Aligarh?
It is, in fact, it is dramatic as far as my life is concerned. It looks like a story, a film story. My parents, during the partition, they migrated to Pakistani part of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. And I was with them. I was then hardly 6 months old or 1 year old. And I was taken by my maternal grandmother. The borders were very porous. People used to come and go from one side to another. It was very porous, no permission, nothing like that. So my maternal grandmother, she was, my mother was the first child of in the family. So her children, who I alone was then, they were very dear to them. So they felt lonely, and they sent my mama to get me from the Pakistani side of Kashmir, that is in Lipa, to take me to the Indian side of Kashmir, that is Karnah, to be with my nani. And I was that way taken, I think, around about 949. And after 49, the borders became tense and became very much tight. So I was left there. I was left without my parents, with my maternal grandparents. And it was how I was brought up by them. And you will be surprised to know that I was not sure as to who were my parents. I treated my nani and my nana as my parents. So they were kind enough to rear me up, kind enough to get me educated, kind enough to get me to take me to all parts of the valley of Kashmir, where this relative, what it was Bandipora, it was Baramulla, it was Kupwara, it was Anantnag, it was Srinagar. So I used to travel with them all around. So the memories, I really feel shocked when I remember the entire journey, and I really feel the only person who is disturbed by this unfortunate this animosity of relations between India and Pakistan. I became the victim of it. I was deprived of my friends. I was deprived of maternal, paternal, and the matrimonial parents and my relatives and my childhood friends in Srinagar, in Jammu, in Delhi, and all around. But this is how the life goes.
I mean, Yes, the wars and the conflicts, as they say, are played on the bodies of people. And you're a living example of that, you had to live without your parents, away from them as the borders hardened. So what was it like? I mean, how did you decide to take up law? How did you think of going to Aligarh to study? What was it that inspired you and motivated you?
Madam, Aligarh used to be obsession of the Kashmiri students because it was a very higher in ranking as far as the Indian universities are concerned. And then the Kashmiri people they had a linkage with Aligarh as well because of the Pakistan movement and other many things.
Mhm.
So that was obsession, and it is still obsession now that the Delhi School of Economics and now that the Jawaharlal Nehru University and many law universities are now opened in India. So Aligarh has lost that way. It is that
It
charm
was,
as it used to be in early 70s, rather in early 80s as well, rather late 80s like SRA. So it was my
Mhm.
obsession to have a. I was very much interested in economics. I after graduating from Baramulla Degree College, I went to Aligarh for the economic course. I got the admission in the economic faculty, but luckily I don't know how my professor, he was Professor Najatullah Siddiqui. He remained the
Ji.
advisor to the World Bank as well somewhere. I don't know what where, but in Jeddah I met him there as well. He advised me to go to law. I told him, Professor Saab, now that I had taken the admission and I like economics, that in economics, my ideal was my cousin, one of my cousins, a close relative of mine, but a real cousin of my wife. He retired as the vice chancellor of Kashmir University and then the vice chancellor of the Central University from the Srinagar. So he was a graduate, postgraduate from Aligarh in economics. So I
He was
followed
your
law.
role model.
Yeah, exactly. But my professor told me that you will be fit in law. You go to law. He managed my admission in the law faculty in Aligarh, and then I went to law. So that is how I went to law. Otherwise, I didn't have any inclination for law. But once I entered the faculty, it was very interesting. I really feel very much indebted to the professor who guided me to it.
Mhm. See, it's very interesting. आज की generation में, if you tell somebody that, parents or teachers are going to choose your profession, वो शायद एक अटपटा भी लगे, but, those were the
मेरे साथ
days when
इसके
you're right.
मेरे साथ इससे पहले ग्रेजुएशन में भी ऐसा हो गया मेरे फैमिली माय फैमिली वांटेड मी टू बी डॉक्टर so in
जी.
Baramulla College I took the admission in the FSC this pre-medical and one day my professor the principal of the college he was a very saint type of man Pandit Shamlal Sadhu SL Sadhu a very noble soul.
So after
Why have
Aligarh.
you taken the admission in the pre-medical? Why not any other subject? Why not medical engineering? Why not arts? Why not commerce? So I told him that this is the choice of my relatives, my grandparents that I should be doctor. So I have taken. He called his daughter. She was also in the first year of the college. That is PUC. It was then called PUC. I don't know what is now called
Yes.
it. So he summoned the peon and told that go and call upon Urmila. I don't know who Urmila was. After 5 minutes, Urmila came entered the room. She sat around just besides me. The SL Sadhu told me, देखो ये मेरी बेटी है इसने चंडीगढ़ से टॉप किया है मैट्रिक में लेकिन इसको मैंने यहाँ इस कॉलेज में आर्ट्स में दाखिला दिलाया है और आर्ट्स इज ए गुड सब्जेक्ट हमें फिलोसफर्स भी चाहिए इकोनॉमिस्ट भी चाहिए हमें आर्टिस्ट भी चाहिए हमें पॉलिटिशियंस भी चाहिए हमें बहुत सारे लोग चाहिए दुनिया में सिर्फ डॉक्टर की काम नहीं होती है तो मैं तो आपको ये एडवाइस करूंगा कि यू गो फॉर सम गुड सब्जेक्ट्स सोशल साइंसेस का तो
Right.
मैं आई डोंट नो हाउ आई वाज ड्रिवन टू दैट I took up the subject. I took up economics, political science, and Persian. English was, of course, compulsory.
Mm-hmm.
Urmila was she was in Sanskrit I was in Persian. That was the only difference. But we were good friends then.
Right.
Well, she was a very brilliant student. I don't know where she is now. We have lost a connection for the last about 10, 15 years, where she is. And Sadhu Saab, I'm told that he has left for the heavens and he's no more. He was the same type of man. So that was my first, I would say, the switchover from the medical to the arts. And it was on the advice of the principal. And the second switch off was in Aligarh, that Professor
From
Najatullah
economics to
Siddiqui
law.
economics to law. So that is how I came. But I am happy. I am contented with my life in law.
So did you go back to Kashmir and you practiced there for some time?
Yes. In Delhi, I joined, of course, he was a big man, then Palkiwala. I remained in his chamber for quite few weeks. Then I left for Srinagar. And I got my license from Aligarh, Kashmir High Court, and then started practice in Baramulla district courts. So I remained there when the district courts were, when the new district was created in Kupwara. I shifted to Kupwara, and then I catered. You must be, you are fully knowing it, that the Karnah falls in the Kupwara district.
Yes.
So I had a shuttle between Kupwara and Karnah. I used to go after every weekend to my native place, and but practicing mostly in Kupwara and Baramulla. And so that way in Srinagar. So that was how I entered into the profession. And Alhamdulillah, I had very good position in as far as my practice is concerned. Then I was in politics as well. I was in first in Jamaat Islami, and I had some differences with them and left Jamaat Islami, joined Congress. It was really contrast from Jamaat Islami to Congress. But my firm belief is that if you are in politics, you must be in the national mainstream. Politics in the national mainstream carries much weight than the regional parties. So I joined the Congress because it was a national party and remained there till 76 when I migrated to Pakistan.
So what led to your migration to Muzaffarabad or Pakistan? What made you decide?
In one sentence, it was Dana Pani. Yes, this is the sole answer I can give. But what led me to add that my grandfather, he advised me to go and see my parents in Pakistan. It was in 1976, early 1976.
And that was the first time you met them after.
It was the first time I met them. And you must be remembering, if you at all were in the adolescence in that era, 70. The affairs of the Pakistani and Indians were looked after by the Switzerland embassy. So I applied to the Switzerland embassy for Pakistani visa. And in the meantime, I got the passport. But you see, in India, I don't know what is the position now, but in India, to get a passport is a hell type of job. It's very tough, very tough. You have 10, 50, about 18 or 50 leaves of the page. You have to fill it and do it, all that. But I got the passport readily. And then the visa within 3-4 months. And unfortunately, in the meantime, my grandfather died. He died in the month of March, and I got the visa in the month of February. It was, I don't know how the nature, how the fate had designed our program like that. He died in February. I got the visa in March. Then I visited my parents along with my wife and my 2 kids, one son and one daughter, to Pakistan and to Muzaffarabad. So this was how my grandfather persuaded me to visit my parents. Otherwise, really speaking, you see, the parentage or the brotherhood or anything like that, it grooms out of the contacts. It grooms out of being together. Otherwise, even if you have the parents, if you are not with them, it hardly matters. Your brothers and sisters and all that, this is a human nature. Because the contact and the interaction and by the sympathies of the brothers and sisters, it makes you feel that such and such is my brother and such a sister. And blood relation apart. but contact is must. So I didn't have so much curiosity to see them or that, because I did never feel any shortcoming in my maternal parents rearing up me and in a princely manner, alhamdulillah. So when he died, I also felt it. And out if my grandfather is not here, he was practically my father. So let me go to my parents. So I, through Switzerland's courtesy, I got the visa, and I visited this part of this country and Pakistan and Azad Kashmir.
And your new family.
And those times, the difficulty was that you an alien family. The problem in those days was that the visa was, it is still in India and Pakistan. The visa is city specific.
Right.
It was city specific. I got a visa for Rawalpindi, and from Rawalpindi, I had to get the visa for Muzaffarabad. So it took me about 10 days in Rawalpindi to stay in Rawalpindi to get a visa for Muzaffarabad. I had Indian passport, so soon after war, 1971, and strained relations between Kashmir, this Pakistan and India. Everybody suspected the passport I used. I did have the Indian passport. So it took some time to get the inquiries and the queries make karne ke baad to they found that he is a genuine visitor and his parents are there. I was really surprised to know one of he was not my friend, but somehow he was known to me. There was some, I don't remember the name of the gentleman. He was sick and posted in Karnah, but I don't know, IB or RA or something like that. My papers for the passport came to him for inquiry or something like that, verification. So he sent the report in a normal course, but he confided with a friend of mine. He was MLC. He told him that such and such person has applied for the passport. And the moment I read his application, I was shocked that he is the man who has not seen his parents right from his birth to this time. Right from the birth, in the sense that I didn't have the sense, developed sense then, that he applied for the passport. And the moment I received the papers, I wrote that this faintly remember today. He said that I wrote on his note that this is the only genuine case I have come across in my career, which who deserves passport. So I'm indebted to that man. How the executive and that too spying agency executives have the noble, have the judicious mind as well, and they decided quickly. So this is how I got and came here, and you will be surprised that I had no intention to stay here. No,
yes,
not at all. I didn't mean to stay here. But my mother and my sisters and all of that, they were hell bent. You know, you will not go back. You will stay at all. So then, in those times as well, there was a bit of leniency. I did have this state subject from the Baramulla district, but when I was forced by my parents to be there, then I got the application, my state subject and my testimonials and all other
papers
documents in the 1978, and got registered here in advocate and all that, and then started practice. But I had a good career, inshallah, from the very beginning.
We'll come to your career. I mean, you feel your roots are in Karnah and you spent the initial period of your life there. How do you recall Karnah? With nostalgia? Could you ever go back there?
I wish, you will be surprised to know that when the bus service started in 2005 or 2006, I didn't miss any year, not visiting my native village and my native house. My house is still there. My house is still there. And it is with my mama and his sons. They are living there. And I missed no chance. And sometimes I went twice on the bus, and the people from this side and that side were agency people. They were they were suspicious about me. That why does he visit so repeatedly? But they don't understand the human sentiments, human
Right.
miseries.
Right. And beyond human sentiments, let's talk about your profession. And you've had a great career on both sides, and you've seen the judicial system on both sides. What difference do you see?
There is hardly any difference between two sides of the judicial system, and hardly any difference between the laws. No, same laws, same judicial system. Uh, However, that part of the state had inherited a high court right from 1927 or 29, and it was running like a high court. This side, it was taken up from the ruins. So the high court here, to the people of my father's age, it seems something novel to them, because there was no high court this side. Of course, they were conversant with the high court in Srinagar, my father and all the elders, uncles, etc. But if mostly the people in AJK, it was something very new for them to have a high court. Of course, it was established in 1948 here, soon after the emergence of AJK. But I will tell you that the legal system is same, both sides. The procedure is same, legal system is same, the language is almost same. So it was very easy for me to cope up with all the new affairs, except my familiarity with the people.
Like Jammu and Kashmir on both sides has had uh, its own constitution.
Yes.
And I mean, in on the Indian administered side, it existed till 2019. And then there's one on the Pakistan administered Kashmir. Is there a difference between the two constitutions?
Of course, there is a difference in the constitution, in the sense that you see the 1934 constitution of the Maharaja's regime. It was followed till 1954 by amendments.
Right.
Necessary amendments were made and then followed it. But this side didn't have any constitution. This was not a government, and this was not a systematic. There was no system at all. A new system evolved here. So the court system was evolved. The rules of business were made. Initially, the system was set up under the rules of business, and some laws were enforced.
So it's not a written constitution.
No, exactly. There was no written constitution. It came for the first time in existence in 1970.
Right.
1970 was the first. Of course, you did have some acts which regulated the system, but not as a constitution. The constitution came in the name of the Azad Jammu and Kashmir Government Act 1970. So it was a very good act. It gave you the full autonomy, except the defense, foreign affairs. When the government of the People's Party came in this office in Islamabad, the local People Party leaders persuaded them to repeal Act 70 and get the new constitution and have the role of the government of Pakistan as well here, and then the role of the Kashmiri leaders in the government of Pakistan's affairs. They couldn't get a role in the Pakistan affairs, but the Pakistan got a role in the AJK affairs. So a new constitution was enforced in 1974. Through new constitution, there were three organs of the government, three systems. Number one was the government of Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Number two was the government of Pakistan. And number three was the AJK Council. AJK Council was in between government of Pakistan and government of Azad Kashmir. It was a stumbling block. So everybody had a resentment against that, and it luckily was scrapped in 2018. And now there's the
Mm-hmm.
government of Pakistan and government of AJK only. So that is the only chairs we have here. So it is Act 70 was the best act, of course, I will tell you. Now that the intervener between the government of AJK and government of Pakistan has vanished, that is the AJK Council, we have a smooth relationship with the government of Pakistan. Otherwise, they played something obnoxious between the two governments, and the system was a bit shaky. But it
Mm-hmm.
is now settled after the elimination of that this दरमियाने वाला pillar जो खत्म हुआ, तो it
जी.
is now settled.
So, what are some of the most memorable moments in your career, especially as a judge? What was uppermost in your mind when you were delivering a verdict? And you could also talk about what should judges prioritize when they're delivering a verdict?
See, my view about the justice is that justice should be justice should satisfy both the parties. A
Mm-hmm.
person against whom the judgment is given, he should feel that I have been meted with just judicious mind. Apart from the fact that judgment goes against him, but he should not have any impression in his mind of judges being prejudiced against him. So if his mind is clear about the judges this verdict, so that is the biggest consolation one can have, and that was my ambition in life. I tried my utmost as judge to reconcile between the parties, to first give them a lecture in the court that the best for you would be to have a patch up between you, whatever the term may be, but have a patch up so that the cause of animosity ends. If the judgments of the court satisfy only the winner, they don't satisfy the loser. So the trouble remains between the parties there. So my ambition always used to be to make the parties understand that your best interest would be settlement. Let it be in the court or outside the court, but settlement, peaceful settlement between you. That
But
was my
that
ambition and
but
obsession
that would
throughout life.
depend from
But
case
if
to case.
nobody agreed to that, then pardon?
I said that would depend from case to case, in certain
Exactly,
cases,
exactly.
yes, of course.
Normally in the civil cases, not in the
Right.
criminal cases.
Yes, of
Not in
course.
the criminal cases. But in criminal cases, you see in AJK and in Pakistan,
Mm-hmm.
there is the murder cases. Mostly the murder cases are very heinous cases. An option is given to the heirs of the deceased to have a patch up with the other party. In India, it is not like that. In
No.
Kashmir, it is not like that. The parties can compromise on murder as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not on the other offenses, the moral turpitude offenses. No, this molestation and all with these things. There is no compromise on that.
So how do you
But
see this provision? Is
as
it
far as the murder is concerned, or assault is concerned, injury is concerned, you can compromise. He should be proceeded against. The courts do proceed against them, despite the compromise between the parties. But you have a conciliation, reconciliation in the murder, in the criminal cases as well. Only injury cases, the assault cases, and the murder cases, not in the
mm-hmm.
moral turpitude cases.
How do you see this, in cases, even in criminal cases where there can be a patch up, where people are given a chance to forgive? We have recently, the one of the judges of Indian Supreme Court who recently retired, he's a Kashmiri, Justice Sanjay Kaul, talked about Truth
Sanjay
and
Kaul.
Reconciliation
He's from
Commission.
Tangmarg.
Yes. So, he talked about Truth and Reconciliation Commission. When you're talking about the criminal cases, and there you're talking about settlement, in cases of murder, if people, complainants, have decided to forgive their perpetrators. And isn't this something similar to what Justice Sanjay Kaul talked about, Truth and Reconciliation Commission? Can that
Truth and
be
reconciliation.
applied? How should that be applied in larger cases? And what would be the repercussions?
I think this compromises, then they create a tendency for criminality.
Mm-hmm.
If you compromise and a person says he goes and kills his opponent and then has the compromise, if he has the option of compromise, then there is a tendency of resorting to criminality. It is, this part is there, of course, no doubt about that. But still, if the animosity waves off, or animosity is settled by the compromise of the party not bad in it, and you see in the Kashmiri society, there is always a tendency of compromise. You must be conversant with the particularly Valley side, that the people usually compromise.
Mm-hmm.
They may not compromise legally in the murder cases, but they create environment for the court to acquit the accused if the complainant compromise with them. There is generally a tendency for that, and I think Justice Cole has the same tendency.
So you feel the legal justice systems should be more oriented towards conciliation, towards making compromises wherever possible, where and justice at the end of the day needs to be done. But there are, you feel, in certain cases, that's a possibility of conciliation and compromise, and that's how the legal systems should be geared.
Of course, I agree with you that as far as possible, the conciliation must be there, as far as
Mhm.
possible.
I'll come
Yes.
to my last question. That is, what is it that India and Pakistan, or for that matter, any other South Asian country, what can we learn from each other's legal systems and the legal education systems? And do you think that, because we have common roots, common culture, similar way of thinking, and do you think that such sharing of information and discussions on matters of law, do you think this is important for the region's progress?
Sure, of course, it must be. You
And
see, when I used to visit Kashmir after the bus service, I visited Jammu as well. I visited Poonch as well. And I had nice interaction with my friends, old friends there, who were my class fellows in Aligarh or in practice, my colleagues. And then we shared many things, many things. There, people were really astonished. So some people had the impression about AJK that it is something non-entity. But when I, as a credible witness from them,
mm,
witnessing the area here, and when I told them the real story, they were really astonished. If it is like that, then we should have interaction and we should go ahead together.
and
So it is very important.
we should even talk about, I mean, there should be dialogue, you feel, at various levels, and we should even talk about our legal systems and
I will I will tell you one thing. I will tell you one thing, a very important incident of my life. I was in Srinagar in 2013 when my father in Muzaffarabad died.
oh, I'm sorry.
I had gone. Usually, I do it. I did very well. I was with the entire family, my daughters, and with their children, my grandchildren. We were there all. There was a friend of mine who's Dilawar Mir. You must be knowing him. His daughter was to be married, and he was my class fellow and colleague all along. I had to attend that. But one morning, my wife and my daughters were in his house for the night, and when in the morning they came, they knocked my door at my residence in Srinagar. They told me that it's a very bad news from Pakistan that my father has died. So my this younger daughter told me that you make some arrangement to go. We should go just today. But it is between India and Pakistan. Governments of the two sides are, of course, helpless in that matter. I told her that it is not possible because today is not the journey day, not the crossing day. It is not possible. शी टोल्ड मी, अबू आपके यहाँ बहुत सारे दोस्त हैं जो सियासत में भी हैं, ब्यूरोक्रेसी में भी हैं, किसी से बात करके तो देख लो ना। तो लकीली आई टॉक्ड ए वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पर्सन इन दिल्ली। तो ही टोल्ड मी यू आर वेरी सॉरी, काम तो जरा टेढ़ा है लेकिन आई विल ट्राई। आप बिलीव करें जी, मुझे बड़ी खुशी हुई कि मुझे आज भी उस आदमी के नाम बोल के, ही वाज सम मद्रासी interior. He rang me up. I think that the friend in Delhi to whom I had requested this thing, he contacted him and he gave my number to him. He called me. He told me that I'm sorry to hear that you had come here for marriage, but you had to leave you got the bad news of the demise of father. No worry, we are making the arrangement. You be prepared, be ready. We will send you today. And I'm happy, I'm indebted to them that they made the arrangement for my journey, for this immigration stuff, the customs stuff, and everybody. Border was specially opened that day for me only. And the people contacted the Pakistani Foreign Office. They also allowed, of course, they had to allow it. They also allowed. It was surprising that before the burial of my father, I was in Muzaffarabad. So this is the
That's a rare case.
CBM.
But
This
that's
is the biggest
that's a
CBM.
rare CBM. You usually don't.
That is a rare. It is rare CBM, of course. And one early to it, I had an opportunity to visit Srinagar. My friends in Srinagar told me that your visa, sorry, your permit has been allowed by the government of India. You can cross. But that day, Pakistani side had not received the permission from Indian side. I contacted this local agency, local department here who was conducting the travel, that my permission is allowed by the India. So you take me to Kaman Bridge, they will accept me if you allow me to go to the Kaman Bridge. ऑफ कोर्स उन्होंने मुझे कहा कि ठीक साहब, उसके इंचार्ज तो दिखा, सर अगर आपको इंडिया वालों ने अलाउ किया है तो हम आपको ले सकते हैं अगर वो आपको एक्सेप्ट करते हैं। तो उस दिन में चला गया तो दे एक्सेप्टेड मी। तो इस तरह 2-3 केस बाद में भी हुए। तो लेकिन ये बात है कि कंटैक्ट जो है ना बहुत जरूरी है, कंटैक्ट बहुत जरूरी है। अब इवन जंग के दौरान भी आपको कंटैक्ट नहीं तोड़ना चाहिए, बिकॉज सेंस समवेयर समहाउ प्रिवेल्स। अब पॉलिटिकल डिफरेंसेस अपनी जगह, डिप्लोमेटिक डिफरेंसेस अपनी जगह, लेकिन आपका ताल्लुक नहीं तोड़ना चाहिए। ताल्लुक जिसको कहते हैं ना, वो नहीं तोड़ना चाहिए कभी भी। आपको कुछ माने ना माने, लेकिन ताल्लुक अपनी जगह कायम रहना चाहिए। और ताल्लुक से बहुत सारे मसाइल हल हो जाते हैं, बहुत सारे लोगों की मुश्किलात हल हो जाती है। अगर स्टेट लेवल की ना हो, इनफरादी लेवल की हल हो जाती है। तो इनफरादी लेवल जो है,
बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं। और इसी ऑप्टिमिस्टिक नोट पे हम यहीं पे खत्म करते हैं। बहुत बहुत आपका शुक्रिया। थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू वेरी मच। इट वाज सो नाइस। थैंक यू।